hold on to your hats because we're going to make a start straight away. So let's do this and let's get started with today's webinar on Plan, Teach and Assess with iPad. So my name is Phil Sparrow. I'm an Education Development Manager for KRCS. And if you want to know a bit more about me, I will tell you that shortly. Today you will also be hearing from Chris Smith as well, when Chris and I sat down earlier this week to learn, and Chris taught me all about how to teach, plan and assess with iPad, and it was a nice little session. Not gonna lie, I really enjoyed myself. So without further ado, let's introduce your speakers. So you've already heard about me and heard about Chris. Don't be shy to speak up and use the chat window to raise any questions. So if you're on YouTube mobile, that'll be right underneath this video. You don't need to be subscribed to chat to us, but it does help. If it's on the web, it should be on the right-hand side of the video. You do need to be signed into a YouTube account to do so. But briefly about myself, I have about 7 years experience as a teacher and as a teaching assistant in primary schools, from early years all the way through to year 6, and now I enjoy embedding technology into classrooms as my day job. Chris is our Apple Professional Learning Specialist who has been an independent consultant in the education sector for over 10 years. He delivers training to all our schools and colleges that KRCS work with across the country, and today should serve as a little taster for what you could have if Chris was to come in and visit you where you work. Now let's see what else we're going to get on with today. So only a really small agenda, and you'll be glad to know we are already through some of it. So we've done our introductions already, and we're going to get straight into our main presentation next, which is planning, teaching and assessing on iPad, whether that's your verbal feedback or written feedback, whatever kind of lesson you want to do. We're going to show you the basics of that today with iPad. If you've got any questions and answers, which you can ask throughout the webinar, and I'll do my best to answer them either in the chat or I'll save them for the end for a bit of a talking point, one of the two. And then our next steps. So if you like what you saw today, what are your next steps if you want to use iPad where you work? How can you get in contact with us? What things should you be thinking about? So we're going to get started without further ado. So we're going to hear from Chris. Chris and I did a little session earlier this week where he sat down and taught a lesson to me. He then gave me some work and then he assessed it all on iPad. And here is what we got up to. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I did. So take it away, Chris.
So we're going to look at how we might create a lesson and execute a lesson using a workflow solution. There's lots of them around, but the one we're going to look at today is Seesaw. So we're going to look at making an activity, send it out to my class, get them to do the activity, send it back, and look at various ways of giving them feedback to help them on their journey to their next step. The first thing we need to do, what I do when I'm working with the class, is I'm going to open up Seesaw on my iPad and I'll get my class to join. My class is a class of 1, which is Phil, who's here with me. Hello. So let's see, the way I'm going to get him to join that is I'm going to tap onto where it says student at the bottom, and he can either scan the QR code on his iPad saying log in as a student, or you can type in the code that's there. But I'm going to point my iPad towards Phil. Hopefully he can scan that. And that lets him in. Then he'll select his name from the list and he's logged into my class. So once that's done at the beginning of your lesson, you can then hide Seesaw out of the way, because you don't really need that for the time being for pupils, and they can do other things and save work to Seesaw if they want to. But what I'm going to show you here is how you, the teacher, can make the activity within Seesaw to test the knowledge that pupils have got about particular topics you've been working on. And in this case, we're going to be looking at the Romans. So the way it's going to work, as a teacher, if you have some slightly different options to the pupils, you tap onto the Add button, and we're going to assign an activity. And in here, you'll see I've got a library of activities that I've made. There's some ready-made Seesaw lessons and a thing called the community. I'll show you this briefly, but in the community you can select the grade that you're working with, and you can select the subject, and you can search for ready-made activities, and these are made by teachers from around the world. And if you like any of these activities, you add them to your library and you've got ready-made resources. Well worth a check with any topic that you're doing, because it's easier to amend and edit somebody else's activity than create your own.
Yeah, save you a load of time on PPA as well.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to the library because I'm going to make my own, because this is specific to the topic we're doing. So here it says create new activity. Tap onto that, and then we need to fill in the boxes. So my topic is the Romans, and in here we can type the instructions. So I've put complete the activities using full sentences and make use of the audio function. I'm going to put that. This will make more sense when you come to the activity. Now if I wanted to, I could go down to the add voice instruction. Maybe I'll do this just to try it out. And I'm going to record. Complete the activities using full sentences using the text tool, and if you'd like to use the audio recording, you can do that as well. So we've given them choices there. They can read the instructions or listen to my instructions. If I really wanted to go to town, I can put an example of how to do things as a video instruction as well. I won't do that for the purpose of this. Then, just before I go to adding a student template, I'm going to just show you these more options. So I could put some notes in to remind me, the teacher, what I'm going to do in the lesson, what the outcomes are going to be. Also, if you wanted to use some of the advanced features of Seesaw, you can track skills in here and you say which skills we're addressing in the activity. But again, I'm not going to do that for the purpose of this one. I'm going to go to add a template for student responses. And this is where I choose from one of these how I want to make the activity. And the one I'm going to use is this drawing one. If I had a ready-made activity, for instance, as a PDF, I could just upload it in from here and it will do that for me. But we'll go for the drawing one. And this is, they call it the creative space in Seesaw. So in here, I can add various things. So over here, I'm going to go to my camera and I'm going to upload a picture that I've already saved for my camera roll. And the one I'm going to put in is this, because I think this would just make a nice backdrop to my opening slide. So this is my welcome page really. Now I can move the image around until I get it where I want it to be. And at the bottom of the screen you see 3 dots. I'm just going to lock that into place so it doesn't move around. It's really irritating when students start working and their picture moves around. And I'm going to go to the text box and just put a title in. So I'll go back, the Romans. So that's the opening page. If I want to change any of this, by changing the colour on the slide at the side, I can change the colour. And if I want to change the way that looks, I tap on the 3 dots, and in style, we could change it to a script. Maybe that's a more Roman font, who knows, maybe that one. I'm going with that one. And again, I can change the colour, I can change whether it's got a background in there. That looks okay. And then I can move that around to where I want it to go. So that's my title page. Now, at the bottom right hand corner, we can add a page. And it's still in this creative area, so I can start to make an activity. So my first activity, I'm going to go back to my camera again and upload an image that I've already saved. And I just Googled Roman timeline, but you'd have this as part of your everyday work you've done anyway. So Roman timeline, I'm going to pop that in. That's quite big, so I can move this around using little handlers in the corner. I can make that a bit smaller so it fits in the screen, and again I'm going to use the 3 dots at the bottom just to lock that in place. Now I'm going to put my question at the top, and my question is going to be, can you tell me about one of the events on the timeline? Question mark. Now, you might look at that and think that's a big square box, doesn't look very good, but if you pull out again these handlers at the side, by pulling the side one, eventually it will turn it into a single line, or you can make it the way you want it to look. So that looks okay. That's my question. I'm going to put the top left, and when I'm going to lock this as well, when the students come to answer it, they can use the tools on the side to comment. I'll do one more page, and this is the page where we're going to draw on some work we did in a previous session where we made a poster about the Romans. So in this one, I don't need to put any content in, but I will put a title in there. So this is going to be add your own image and explain what it is all about. So that's going to be the next one I want to do. Again, I'm going to drag out the dots to make it fit more nice as the title, and I'm going to lock that into place just like I've done the other things. So now I've made a 2-page worksheet with an opening title. It's fairly quick to do. If I was doing this on a PC or in Word or PowerPoint, it would be no quicker. This is just easy to do. And when I've done that, I can then go to the tick at the very top, and that's going to save my work back to here, and I can save it. And now I've got an activity that will stay in my library forever, and I can assign it to my class. Now, when I assign it using this, I choose my class, which is KRCS, but I just want to reference these. These are really useful, so I'll tap onto these. Now, I can send it to all the students in the class, but I could break this down as my blue group, red group, yellow group.
Yeah, it's really key for differentiation. It's not just a one-size-fits-all tool. It really can go into the nitty-gritty with these students.
So just for this, I'm going to make it everyone, but then I could go to my folders and I can force it to be in a particular folder. Now, if you notice on here, I haven't got a history folder, so let's add. I won't make it history, I'll make it specific. I'm going to make it the Romans.
It's great for, like, I now don't have to carry a physical folder of paper with me anymore.
No, it's just already there, and it will automatically put it in so that pupils can't get in the right place. And the thing that I mentioned earlier, the skills, if I wanted to add some skills, I could. But most schools that I work in have their own system for recording the skills, and this would be an additional thing. But know that it's there if you wanted to use it. So I tap onto the tick, and I'm going to assign that to my class. Now, at this point, we're going to hand over to Phil, who will be able to go to this main screen and look in activities and hopefully find that activity waiting for him.
And so on the right hand side, KRCS student activities underneath the 30 notifications. And then I look on the left hand side, and yeah, I can see the Romans is the first activity that comes up. And
so you would choose to add a response, the big green button.
SEC, I think, play instructions if I wanted to listen to Chris's voice instead of if I was struggling to read. For example, I could just listen to his voice, so it's accessible to all students, but I want to add my own work, my own response. Yeah. Just giving it a load.
While this loads, just to mention, it has the instructions at the top of the page again, so you can go back to them at any time. So if this was a home learning activity, you don't have to be able to ask the teacher to remind you what to do. They're always going to be
see.
there.
So on that, so right at the top of the screen, you've got the undo and redo icon, and to the right it says view instructions. If I tap that, it brings up that screen again. So yeah, that's really clear actually. I love that. Okay.
So, first one, just a title page. I did think you could add your name to that, but then I thought, why would you need to do that? Because it's saved under your name in Seesaw. So you don't need to name and date work because that's automatically done in the app itself.
Yeah. So this might be a space for like your learning objectives by the end of the lesson, whatever your school calls it. It might be a recap of previous learning and stuff like that.
So let's see what happens if you choose the first page activities on the right hand side.
Yep, so there's the green arrow at the top, then underneath is page 1. Page 2, I can see there's probably an activity for me. Let's see what we got. Just give it a second to load. Yep, there we go. Can you tell me about one of the events on the timeline? I forgot what my teacher was asking me to do today, so I'm just going to check the instructions. It says I have to complete the activities using full sentences and use the audio function. Okay, how am I going to do that?
So to add your answer, we'll do this one as text, shall we? So if you go to the T on the left-hand side, there's a big letter T.
Camera, recording, T. Yeah.
And it opens a text box for you, and you can tell me something you know about any of those things.
Oh, let's have a look. What shall I do? Roman Empire. Much of Rome burns. The Colosseum was built. I'm going to do the Colosseum one. So I'm going to click the text again on the left-hand side. Roman warriors fought fiercely. Ooh, and an autocorrect is teaching me my spelling, actually. And a lot of teachers are concerned about, well, teachers and parents are concerned about autocorrects, but here I can see I've done a typo, and I look at fiercely and check that's the word I wanted, spelling out fiercely. Yep, that's the word I want. Fought fiercely in glorious. Oh, can't see that under there. Let's just move that up. Nice and intuitive. Glorious combat. And again, a typo with an N, but combat. Yep, learning my spelling there nice and discreetly. I'm happy with that. Get rid of the keyboard.
So now you can adjust the size of that to maybe fit nicely underneath the timeline.
Yep, and make it a little longer underneath. I think I might want to make it smaller because I might have some more work I'm going to do. I'm going to put it under here.
So what I might ask you to do, I didn't put this in the instructions, but just thought about it. You've written your sentence. Now, if you imagine some people, as they type the sentence, there could be errors that they've made writing it. What I might ask you to do now is go to the 3 dots on the left-hand side near the...
Ah, yes, I've got camera there, and then underneath I've got on the left the 3 dots. Yeah.
And in there's one that says audio.
Yeah, voice on the 4th option in. Yeah.
And now you could read your sentence back to me.
Okay, I'll give that a go. So then I've got upload or record voice. Let's record voice. Roman warriors fought fiercely in glorious combat. And then I'll click and the green tick to finish it.
So now you can move that to where you want it to be. We could get rid of the label completely, but going on the 3 dots, you can adjust, rather than say listen, you could put another label in there. So style at the top.
Style, yeah.
You could change the way it looked, or we could delete the letters. If you do the one that has no border
here,
and then you were to delete the words,
it
would then let you just have a speaker icon.
Let's delete listen.
That you could
and
then
I can just
place.
See the speaker.
It could actually almost go on the timeline, couldn't it?
Could go on the timeline. Yeah, let's pop it over there.
And then we'd have a speaker that when you want to find about the Colosseum, it will read that out to you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what it does. Might be able to turn my iPad up. Let's have a look. Yeah, I hadn't turned my iPad up. Let's give that one another go. Roman warriors fought fiercely in glorious combat. Oh, love it.
Okay, that's that first activity done. Just to show you some of the other things you can do, if you go to the second activity, the next page down.
On the right hand side, I've done that one. Let's go to page 3. Yeah.
So this, you drawing on the work you've done previously in Pick Collage, you made a poster.
Oh yeah, yep.
Hopefully, if you go to the camera icon.
Yep, left hand side, microphone, camera.
You've got upload.
Yep, that's the one. I want to allow access to all the photos I have on my iPad. Oh, I can see my work there in the recent because I did it recently.
And tap on the tick.
Yeah.
Now you can resize that and position it where you want. And then again, we thought we might use the audio to record what you're telling us there. It could be you're just going to recreate a Roman shouting, his victorious chant, or you could tell me something about the Colosseum again.
Yeah, good. I think, and I could use an Apple Pencil as well, couldn't I?
You could, yeah. All the tools at the bottom will let you
I've got
annotate.
pencil there. I've got pen. I think I'll go for pen. I'm just going to do a little squiggle to make sure it works. It does. And I'm going to go to eraser. And then I'm to just say that Colosseums are still here today, or like say the Roman arenas are still here today.
Just to mention, if you tap on the pencil tool again at the bottom second time, you'll be able to change the thickness of the
that is
pencil.
a little bit thick, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Let's go for there. Let's do that. That's actually on the thinnest setting already.
That's because you're on a marker pen, possibly more than the pencil.
Yeah, let's go to pencil and see how different that is. It gives children a variety of how you want to do it, or it gives teachers a plethora of tools to sort of say what they want the students to use. Now let me concentrate on my writing because I'm actually making some errors. Roman arenas. are still around today to visit. I'm going to clarify it's for visiting only. We don't have any actual Roman combat anymore. To visit. Try and show off my neatest handwriting and a full stop. There we go.
Perfect. So we could record audio in there, we could add extra photos. If you had lots of things to say, at the bottom of the screen on the right-hand corner, you could add another page.
Okay.
So it's not limited. At that point, you go to the tick at the top of the screen.
Yep, so I can see the 3 pages at the top and then the tick just there. It's just uploading my work. I've got to wait.
And that,
ooh, it's added.
And that should have sent it to me. So now on my screen, if I refresh the screen, it should tell me I've got one unapproved post, and I can review that work. So I tap onto review, and the work comes up, and I decide whether I want to approve it or not. Now, if this came up with something complete nonsense, I would either delete it, or if I thought, no, there's nothing there, I would send it back to the student and say, you need to do something with that, and I could comment on that. But just for the purpose of this to start off with, I'm going to approve it, and I can look at it as a teacher. Go back to my class journal, I could open this up, and I can look at all the work that's on there. I could listen to.
Let's record voice. Roman warriors fought fiercely in glorious
combat. I'm recording
combat.
the audio of my iPad differently. It's not playing at the moment, but you did hear Phil say that before. Then we look at the 3rd page of his work. He's got his right on there. All good. So I'm going to go back, and here, if I want to comment on that work, there's various ways that you can do it. So in a really simple way, I could just say, I like your work. And it puts a heart there, and if Phil refreshes the screen, you would see, I think the heart will show up on his screen saying, Mr. Smith, heart your work.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
It's a bit easy, quick, if you want to do that. You can enable that feature for the pupils as well. So if you want to do peer assessment or allow them to comment, you can do that. You just have to be careful that they don't spend more time liking each other's work than doing their own. The next thing I can do, next one along, is comment. So here I could type a comment. Great start to your work, Phil. I really liked your audio recording, etc. You put in, what their next steps might be. But I can post that, and now you'll see it again. If Phil refreshes.
Yeah, there we go.
It puts that comment in there, and it's really quick. It's just so fast to give feedback.
Yeah, we're doing this in real time as well, so even with distance learning, the child is getting feedback as quick as they would do in the classroom if you are sitting at your device whilst they're working.
So that would take no more time than writing the book, apart from you'd have to have the book with you to do it, and then you'd have to give the child the book back to be able to read the comment.
Yeah.
And that's assuming they can read the comment.
Exactly, yeah.
So last one, again, I'm going to go to comment, just here, and you'll notice it's the same window, but here we've got the record button. So I can tap onto that. Great start to your work. I really like the audio recording, and the handwriting looked really nice. Well done. And tap onto the tick. That sends it back, and because hopefully when Phil refreshes, it should say there's an audio recording.
Yeah, it says
waiting.
Now there we go. The Roman is Mr. Smith, and it says Mr. Smith has recorded an audio comment. So I give that a tap. There we go. Brings up the comment window, and let's see what Mr. Smith has had to say about my work. To see how it comes out on the iPad.
Great start to your work. I really like the audio recording, and the handwriting looked really nice. Well done.
Awesome.
Now, obviously, you would probably give a far better bit of feedback than that. I'm just commenting generally on the work. But the speed in which you can record that feedback is quicker than finding the right page in the book, writing the comment, and the pupil gets it instantly. So if it was home learning, they would know straight away how they've done, and you could offer them the next step for the next thing they need to do. And all of the research at the moment would suggest and I believe this is up to you, that verbal feedback is more effective than written feedback. Now, again, I'm not suggesting this is what you do all the time, although there are a lot of schools that are adopting that policy, but once in a while, verbal feedback might be a much better way.
But this is also fantastic because verbal feedback in schools, for the most part, is people writing VF in the book with a circle, and then there's no way to verify that conversation between you and the student. Your leader could come up to you and say, "Oh yeah, what was that discussion?" or try and interview the child, and it might have been last week. Here, you can do verbal feedback to save that time, and your verbal response is actually recorded. So it is verbal feedback the way it should be, how it was originally imagined.
So that's creating a simple activity. As I said, if you already had an existing activity or worksheets that were in a PDF form, that can go in as well, or if it's in Keynote, it will go into here as a PDF. So you can make a half term's worth of history work if you wanted to, with space to record, and also the flexibility to add additional pages as and when you need them as the student. But in all of that, it's fairly easy to create. It's really quick to get the work in. We haven't got to go and collect all the books.
And we did all of this in real time today. None of this was edited or snipped bits off. This was Chris and I just working real time together. And this is, as long as it took us, it's as long as it will take you.
And for you, the teacher, there's no queuing at the photocopier for the worksheet. Equally, there's no printing out the work at the end. There's no cutting, there's no sticking into books. And it's all self-contained here. And the beauty of this is, if anyone wants to see that work, they just tap on the student down the side, or they tap into the folder and look at what work we've got about the Romans, and you'll find it really quickly. In terms of that sort of Ofsted visit or doing moderation in school, you've also got at the top here this calendar, and this will show me that today one item of work has been done, and it will show me the work, and I can get to it and show me all the students that have submitted work. So if somebody is looking through a book and there's a gap in the dates in the book, they would know that the work is going to be here, and they can find exactly what they did on whatever day they want to. So it often used to get the comment from teachers, well, how will people see the work?
And parents can look into Seesaw as well, not in as much depth as you're seeing here, but parents can be shared work as well. And I think the teacher can choose what parents can see. And I was visiting with a school recently who said it's kind of helped parents and teachers work together to be really on their children. So if they didn't do their best piece of work that day, normally you'd find out at parents' evening, or maybe if you happen to meet them at the door. But this is instant, and it might be a comment that the teacher has left, and it can just be picked up so much quicker, and it's everyone working as a team using platforms like Seesaw or Showbie.
So there you go. Simple activity. Obviously you can make more complicated ones, but the workflow works. I get the work to the pupil, they do the work, send it back, and I can comment upon it. And if I want them to do extra work, they can go back to it and continue. So if you're looking for a workflow solution, there are many out there, but Seesaw works in that way.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks very much, Chris. That was awesome. Fab. So that was Chris and I earlier this week. Him showed me through Showbie and through Seesaw rather, and you can see exactly how that works. It's just like a physical lesson. You could actually have iPads out in front of you doing that. It doesn't have to be home learning. It doesn't have to be child at home with an iPad and you at school. It could be child in the library. One child's in year 1, another child's in year 3. You're in your classroom. Or it could be all of your children in front of you and you've got your iPad in front of you to send that work out. And Seesaw also works on the web, as does another platform we're going to be looking at next week. So you've got loads and loads of options. But I hope you've taken a few things, you've learned a few things during this webinar today. I hope there's some impact in your classroom either tomorrow if you've got iPad already, because Seesaw is free to try. So definitely give it a go. At least download it, at least have a play, because it is free to try and we really do advocate it. And then thinking about your next steps. So when we do come to next steps, that brings us to here. So there are some things to think about. 2 things that I can help you with. There's planning essentials. Let's go back. We've gone one ahead. We're a bit keen. So let's go forward again. Apologies. Right. Next steps. So, planning essentials. If you've got any level of iPad in your school, or you may be even looking to get your first iPad, you might just need somebody to work closely with you to give you a bit of a vision and plan to help you with your first few steps. Which device should you buy? How can you get parents involved? You're not sure about school compliant operating leases or whether you should be paying outright. How do you split your budgets? What other considerations are there apart from the device itself? We can help you with all of that. Planning Essentials is a free workshop where we'll come in and work closely with your school leadership team to build a readiness plan. And we find this works really well. They're normally about 3 hours or so instead of having to make several after school meetings. We've also got curriculum essentials. So if you have got iPad where you work, but you're thinking, we could really be doing this better because right now we're just doing a bit of Googling. We're not doing much else. You just want to really enrich some parts of your curriculum with iPad. Not take over completely, but work alongside harmoniously to really enrich your children's learning. Then Chris Smith, who you've heard on today, could come into your school and he would gladly help liven up your curriculum with the iPads you've already invested in. Now, this stream has ended, but you can find us in many, many places. You can talk to our education team at edsales@KRCS, that's Kilo Romeo Charlie Sierra.co.uk. I'm on the education team as well, and my name is Phil Sparrow if you need to email me specifically. You can give us a call on 0115 985 1797. You can follow us on Twitter at KRCS_education, or you can visit our high street stores for a cheeky bit of teacher discount on Mac, which is in Nottingham, Derby and Hull. But thank you very much for your time. We've got another webinar coming up this time next week, so hopefully we'll see you then. But thank you very much for attending. See you then.